Today we're going to be making a new location in OnPing using a ComponentLogix Micro820 as a target. Remember that in OnPing, a location corresponds to a device, so there'll always be a specific device that you have in mind. The first thing that you'll want to do in order to do this is to figure out what lumberjack you're going to be putting the device driver on. Devices are always pulled from a lumberjack and then pushed into the cloud. Even if you're using a cell modem and don't actually have a lumberjack on site, you'll still use a virtual lumberjack provided by us to pull the device, and we'll still need to make sure this is online. In our case, we're going to be using a test lumberjack that we have in the shop labeled lumberjack 6 on the box here. So I can click here and I see a summary of the device. To make sure it's online, I like to go to date time and make sure that this is updating. As you can see, it's updating, so I know the device is online and ready. And now I can go ahead and prepare a location in order to add tags. To add a location, you have to have a panel that looks something like this, which is what we call an admin table. If you don't have one of these and feel you need one, make sure you ask support here at Plotech to get you one. So in order to add a ControlLogix, I'll click on Add a ControlLogix. Of course, in this case, it's actually a ComponentLogix, but it's the same driver for all the different devices that we use. So you'll see it referenced as a ControlLogix no matter what kind of Allen Bradley tag-based device you need that's using Ethernet IP. The company I'm going to use is our demo company, and then I'll use an existing site, ControlLogix site. You can see we already have a few of these here, but I'm going to make a new one. I'm going to call it example for video, if I can spell video. And then there's some details that you just have to know. I'm going to go ahead and copy it from an existing one because I know I'm targeting the same device here, but things like the PLC URL, which is just going to be the IP address that we're pointed to. Oops, I'm sorry, up here, PLC URL. And then the lumberjack URL, which will be on the side of the device and is the IP address that the lumberjack uses in order to save data onto the lumberjack. For some of our drivers, we don't use this IP address, and instead we just use a lumberjack ID. Eventually, all the drivers will be this way. However, ControlLogix is currently not. The lumberjack port should never really need to get changed unless for some reason there's a conflict between this port number and a port number you need for some other purpose. In our case, there isn't, so 13,000 will be the port number. I'm going to have it poll every 60 seconds, and then again, I'm just going to pick our demo company for the company, our ControlLogix demo site, and the group, just this staging group here. Now you can add coordinates if you want to use this site for some map functions. You put those right here. I'm not going to add those right now, however, so I'll click Add. Okay, now I see a location is saved successfully. If I click away and I click back, example for video loads up. Just make sure it all loads nicely, and it does. Wonderful. So now that I've added the location, I want to add different tags inside of that location. For that, I need to have a ControlLogix widget. Let me go ahead and delete this widget and remake it just so you can see where you find that. So to add a new widget, the first thing I want to do is create a new panel for it. So I'm going to click Edit Dashboard and click Add Panel. You can add multiple widgets to a panel, but for things like drivers, it's very nice to have each one in its own panel. I've gone over this adding a panel in detail in a couple other videos, so I'm just kind of going through it sort of fast. Go ahead and click plus widget to see all the different available widgets. Then find the controller. In our case, we want the ControlLogix controller, and click Add there, and then Save. Okay, now I can exit Edit Dashboard, and I have this new ControlLogix widget available on my admin dashboard here. Again, I'm going to find my demo company, go to my demo ControlLogix here, and my example for video. Now, no parameters were selected, but I can look them up by clicking Edit Parameters and going to the device browser. Not all of our drivers have a device browser. It's dependent on the device, and luckily, in the case of ControlLogix, we do have that ability. So I can see all the different tags that currently exist in the device. The tag I want to grab here is this COM rotator. So I click Select. Let me go over the different fields here. So we have tag name, which is going to be the name as you find it inside of the ControlLogix RS Logix software or Studio 5000 software. Then the tag index says what kind of an array we have. In this case, it's going to be a zero-dimensional array, so just a scalar value, so you'll see a 0 there. And then the description here, we just automatically copy this in, but you can change it to whatever you want. So I'm going to change it to comms number. And then on change, for some values, you want it to not update the poll time or save the value to the lumberjack and onto OnPing unless the value changes by more than a certain amount. I don't want that right now, so I'm going to leave this blank. And this is if I want it to be a writable or readable tag. Again, I want it to be read-only, so I'll leave that checked as is. These two values will populate once I save it and then refresh and get an updated poll. So let's go ahead and hit Update now. All right, I hit refresh here, and that gives me my value and my last updated time. You see this note saying the parameters have been updated successfully. So now I have a value in OnPing that can be used in any other place in OnPing. You can trend it, you can add it to an HMI. In fact, I'll go ahead and add it to this HMI here, just to kind of show what I'm talking about. Actually, that's a local HMI, which I'm going to cover in this future video, but I'll make a quick HMI just so you can see using it. So let's go down to HMI. Next. And then I'll just add it to a label really fast. There we go. And here's our new parameter. Click on it. There's our 53. Hit save. For some parameters, you might need to add a mask, like truncate to a certain number of decimal places. But this one looks pretty good as is. All right, thank you so much.